Hey everybody, Micah from blackbearcustomkydex. Once again, please forgive this mess on my desk. The mess on my desk. I am just working as hard as I can to get all of your projects out to you as soon as possible, and I'm not taking the time to clean my desk most days. So, all right, this video is about two auto deploy sheaths. One is for the Spyderco military, the other for the cold steel Espada. And we are going to just look at these really quick. Before I get into them, there are three different designs of auto deploy sheaths that I offer. I get a lot of emails from people just saying, hey, how much for your auto deploy sheath? And chances are pretty good that this is the design that they had seen on a YouTube video because it's the most popular of the three. However, I obviously need to know which one you saw. Sometimes it's not one of these, so yeah. All right, so to give you the quick background here, and I don't have the other two for examples, so you just have to use your imagination, but this is the locking belt sheath. It's got a tech lock on it, and it's got a locking mechanism on it. So it rides on the belt, and it can lock so that your knife is a little bit more secure. It's harder for someone to just pull it off of you. It's just a safety mechanism, essentially. The next design would be the IWB tether design. This is a concealed version of this auto deploy thing. It does not have a lock on it. It doesn't need a lock because it's concealed. It will be tethered either to a belt clip, your belt directly, another piece of Kydex gear, whatever it is. It's got some kind of anchor point so that when you pull the sheath from its concealed position, whether it be inside the waistband, inside your pocket, whatever it is, that tether is going to catch after a few inches, and that gives your blade a chance to deploy without being in a dangerous position to your body. And the sheath will just pop off and dangle down, 4 or 5 inches on that tether while your blade pops open as you draw it out. So it's a really cool design. I would say that's my favorite of the three. And then finally, paracord necklace version, no lock. It's just a simple shell on a paracord necklace, deploys as you draw. Very handy, but not as popular. A lot of people just don't like carrying a folder on their neck, and I'm in that category as well. I don't personally like to carry a folder on my neck. So anyway, those are the three designs. This is by far the most popular, and specifically for the paramilitary 2, I'd say that's probably within my top 3 best sellers of all time, of all the different products that I offer. I get more inquiries about that than I do about almost anything else. So Leatherman OHT, K-Bar TDI, and then probably the locking belt sheath for the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. So, all right, let's take a look at these really quick. This one is in flat black and OD green to match these nice, I think these are aftermarket scales, he had said. Really nice, kind of an aggressive checkered texture. The knife will ride at a slight angle. So this is vertical here, the tech lock. It's going to kick out just a little bit. It's a right-handed sheath, so that's kicking out toward the back side of your body. You'd wear this probably at 3 o'clock. And the reason it's canted like this is because it gives you, number one, it puts the handle away from the belt clip so you can actually grab it. Number two, when you go to draw it, it gives you a little bit more of a comfortable position because drawing straight down just doesn't quite feel right. With this, it feels a little more natural, and it kind of naturally causes you to flick your wrist, which helps to speed the blade open. If it's not a spring-assisted blade, this is not a spring-assisted blade. Neither of these are. If it's not a spring-assisted blade, there are two things at play that get your full deployment of the blade every single time. Number one, that the sheath itself engages whatever the opening mechanism is, whether it be an opening hole, such as this knife, a thumb disc, such as this one, or just, a regular thumb stud like a lot of them have. Whatever the opening mechanism is, the sheath engages it and begins to partially deploy that blade. You can see here as it pops out, it's only halfway open. So it's really momentum that's going to carry that through to the full deployment. One thing I am finding with this particular Spyderco military, never have before with all the other militaries that I've done probably a dozen. Michael, the client, Michael, the owner of this, Michael, you probably want to have this looked at by Spyderco, because what's happening is if you deploy too quickly, the blade is hitting its open position and popping back down before that frame lock has a chance to set up and block the blade out. So it can definitely be a disaster if you go to deploy this thing and you get a partial deployment and it folds back down and cuts your fingers. I'm going to show you how to overcome it, but in an emergency scenario, adrenaline's going to kick in, and you might just be pulling this faster than the frame lock or the liner lock, sorry, I keep saying frame lock, the liner lock, faster than the liner lock can handle. So as a quick demonstration of too quick, oh, okay, that seemed to work. There we go. You see that? It popped all the way open and then closed almost all the way down. I almost completed a grip with the end of my finger, and that would have been curtains for my fingertip. So be really, really careful. I'm drawing this around this speed just so you can see it. Oops. I know the angle's not as easy to look at, but drawing it like this, I'm kind of sideways toward myself, and it's just hard to replicate the actual mechanic of the wrist there. So you can see it does deploy really reliable every time. I'm just going a little bit slower with it, and for sure making sure that as I draw, I'm flicking my wrist, and that's kind of that momentum is what's going to keep that blade going open perfectly every time. Go too fast, it's going to start shutting again. Go too slow, it's not going to fully deploy. So I know this seems like a little bit of like the Goldilocks thing. It's not ideal. I'm pretty sure it's the knife itself, because I've done so many of these, and I've done so many of the PM2 and PM3. Just something feels a little bit weak about the liner lock here. So Michael, maybe get this checked out, but it's really sweet. Also, as you can see, he's had some VEF serrations added. Guys, for those of you who don't already know, VEF serrations, I believe, I can't remember the gentleman's name, Steve VEF, I want to say, but whoever it is, the guy that actually creates these, I think he works for, or at least designs things for CRKT, which is why you see them on a lot of their knives. But it's not proprietary in the sense that they can't be done directly through Mr. VEF himself. So I know Michael has sent some of his knives there to have that alteration done, including both of these. So it's a really cool addition. And I don't like serrations personally, but I like VEF serrations for whatever that's worth. So, all right. Looking at the Espada, this one goes in a little bit hard. Sometimes you gotta kind of put the peak in first and then rotate it down. We'll look at that in a second. This one opens 100% every single time. It's really, really easy, partly because that gigantic thumb disc is just so aggressive, and the knife already has a lot of torque because of the length and a lot of heft because of the weight and the size. So I think this one you'll find is just a cakewalk to do it every single time. Putting it back in, again, I'm getting that peak lined up and then kind of just pushing it in place. All right, so let's take a look really quick at the locking device on this. How it works is just a piece of Kydex that is folded over. You can see right now it is in between these two fins on the back, and if you push the backside fin, the one that's against your body, push that toward the lock, and that lock will snap over like so. To disengage, exact same thing. You're always going to be pushing away from your body. Disengage, engage, disengage, engage. It keeps it really simple. When that thing is engaged, it makes it very difficult to draw the knife. It still can be done, so I don't want you to think that the lock means that the knife cannot come out of the sheath. Just as a disclaimer here, the lock greatly increases the resistance of the knife coming out of the sheath, but it is not 100% foolproof. It is not 100% effective. So if you do have a scrum with someone and they grab your knife, if they get a really good hold on it and really tug, they might get that out of there. So you need to be careful with that. But the idea is that when you bump into something, it's not just going to pop the knife out. If somebody were to just quickly go grab it, their hand would probably slip off because they're not expecting how tight that is in there. So it's a safety mechanism. It's a little bit of a risk mitigator. It is not a 100% effective solution. All right. So I just wanted to throw that out there just in case anybody's wondering. Same thing goes for this one. It works the same exact way. This one has a little bit more resistance because that thumb disc is really big. It's broader than parts of the handle itself, so it's really, really effective. Whereas with this one, it's a little bit less effective because of the smooth contour, shape, and narrow blade with no outward opening mechanism. So the resistance, like I said, just slightly less on the Spyderco Military. So, all right, guys, flat black OD green, flat black carbon fiber. That's what you're looking at here. And I would, of course, love your opinions down below on the sheath as well as on the knives. One thing real quick before I forget, this locking device, this mechanism, this concept was invented not by me, but by Kevin Robinson over at Thai Tactical. Kevin is a great dude, makes really great sheaths, and he's one of the original pioneers of the Kydex industry. So shout out to Kevin for all he's done for Kydex, as well as for coming up with this awesome concept, which he has graciously given me permission to use in my work. So everybody go check out Thai Tactical, T-I-E Tactical. All right, guys, like, share, comment, subscribe, give your opinions down below of the knives and the sheaths, and I hope you'll tune in for the next one. Thanks for sticking around, and God bless.